Hey there, fight fans. Today in this video, get ready for the ultimate showdown in the UFC world, as Islam Makhachev and Alexander Volkanovski have sparked a rivalry that is sure to keep the fight fans on the edge of their seats. But now, there's a bit more to the story than just an epic fight that we saw on TV. A newly released behind-the-scenes video from the UFC has revealed a very interesting conversation between the two fighters that did take place immediately after their fight. Volkanovski, seeking revenge, proposed a new fight to Makhachev, who surprisingly gave his consent. The location suggested was Abu Dhabi, a place where Khabib's team has a very strong presence, making it a second home for Makhachev and his teammates. So will this actually be the venue for the most anticipated rematch of the year? Later on in the video, Makhachev also recently announced his desire to become a UFC champion in a different weight category. But is Makhachev destined to become a double champ? Well, Mama Makhachev asked him to end his career as a fighter, as did Khabib. Former UFC light heavyweight champ Jon Jones claims that none of his failed drug tests are considered positive under the new US anti-doping agency rules, and is actually looking to be given back his victory over Daniel Cormier, whom he did knock out in July of 2017. Then, at the end of this video, Dustin Poirier slapped the man who insulted his wife. So this is going to be a very interesting video, but before we kick things off, I just want to ask you all to please be sure that you like and subscribe to the channel. We are almost at 50,000, so thank you very much in advance. Now, recently, the UFC published a video that was left behind the scenes of the official broadcast. The video shows that immediately after the fight, a conversation did take place between Volkanovski and Makhachev. Volkanovski asked Makhachev for a rematch, and he almost immediately received consent from Makhachev.
This time Abu Dhabi.
Yes, that's fair.
3.
Moreover, he even suggested a new location for the fight in Abu Dhabi. As you all know, Abu Dhabi for Khabib's team is literally like a second home. Now, Islam's manager quickly responded to the offer, saying that they did have a verbal agreement. It's time for Abu Dhabi. In a rematch, Makhachev will have a chance again to compete for the first place in the pound-for-pound rankings, and Volkanovski will have the opportunity to, seek that revenge. And just recently, Volkanovski suggested that Makhachev and him should have a rematch, saying let's do it again and give the people what they want on his social media. Now, if Makhachev agrees to a rematch, Islam has the right to boldly demand fair compensation from the UFC, so that the fighters receive appropriate compensation and not the money that Islam received for the first fight. Makhachev needs to demand no less than the amount that Khabib Nurmagomedov received for the legendary confrontation with Conor McGregor, or about $30 million. Now, however, the specific amount that he will demand, that kind of depends on some various factors, including his bargaining power and the UFC's willingness to actually pay him. Also, Makhachev recently announced his desire to become a UFC champion in 2 weight categories. Double UFC champion, that will go down in history for a long time. I love to compete. I had a championship fight for the pound-for-pound title. Rating regardless of weight categories. To take a belt in another category is a new motivation, a new challenge, he stated on Match TV. But is Makhachev actually destined to become a double champ? Well, Mama Makhachev asked him to end his career as a fighter. Khabib did as well. When I arrived home, I was greeted by a lot of people. Mom said, now you are a champion, end the fighting. Khabib listened to his mother. When will you listen to yours? I told her that Khabib defended his title and I need to do the same. Now, this is a difficult subject for my mother. With my father, it's the other way around. He actually watches all of the fights, Makhachev stated in an interview with UFC Russia. Now, former UFC light heavyweight champion Jon Jones is claiming that none of his failed drug tests are now considered failed under the new US anti-doping agency rules, and he is actually looking to be given back his victory over Daniel Cormier, whom he did knock out in July of 2017. He is referring to the opinion of a certain specialist, whose statement he did post on social media, saying, Jon Jones should be compensated for his disqualification by USADA, given that science has changed, and now a test with less than 100 picograms per milliliter is not positive. None of his tests will be positive under the current rules. He must return the victory which was deprived, recognizing the fight as invalid. Jones wrote, I feel officially acquitted. None of my performances are tainted anymore. It's good that the rest of the world now sees what I knew all along. My only advantage over my competitors was pure hard work. USADA and the UFC have not yet commented on this situation. But in the past, Jon Jones has failed drug tests 3 times, once for an estrogen blocker and twice for turinabol, serving a 1-year and a 15-month suspension. The last failed test for turinabol did not result in a suspension, as it was concluded that it was just a trace of an old drug. Now, UFC star Jon Jones, who decided to conquer the heavyweight division, has not hidden the fact that he wants to fight former division champ Stipe Miocic. People consider him the greatest heavyweight of all time. I am honored to be able to fight such a man. The chance to beat a guy like that would be something really special. I want to do it. I wish to strengthen my legacy. I know that I have to fight the best. As long as Stipe is in the game, he will be my next target. Now, Miocic is 40 years old, and he has not fought since March of 2021 after losing the heavyweight title to Francis Ngannou. But if you do recall that on March 4th at UFC 285 in Las Vegas, Jon Jones will be returning after a 3-year break and will be trying to win the vacant UFC Heavyweight Championship in a fight with Cyril Gane. So we are definitely looking forward to that fight and the overall return of Jon Jones. And moving on, UFC fighter in the lightweight division Dustin Poirier became a participant in a brawl during Mardi Gras in New Orleans. Poirier slapped a fan holding a poster with the provocative phrase that Conor McGregor made famous, saying, "Hey Dustin, your wife is texting me." Now, the fan did not stop there and showed Poirier an obscene gesture, after which Dustin tried to get out of his car, but his wife stopped him. Poirier last fought against his compatriot Michael Chandler back in November of 2022 at UFC 281. In that fight, Dustin won by choke in the 3rd round.